to you. We're coming on the air as officials in Kansas City, Missouri are about to give an update on the deadly shooting at the end of the Chiefs' victory Super Bowl parade yesterday. One person, popular local DJ Lisa Lopez Galvan, was killed by a gunshot wound. More than 20 others were also shot during the incident, including 9 children. Police say 3 people are in custody and have recovered 1 firearm. Here's now Kansas City officials, including the mayor. Let's listen.
You will have more information on that in our conversation that comes up shortly. A few things to note, and the chief will cover a bit later. If you have questions about property or other information relating to belongings that were left at Union Station, please call the city's 311 information line. Please do not call the police department's line in connection with that information. The other thing that we wanted to note were mental health resources for anyone who feels concerns from yesterday's events. Please call 988. And that's how we can connect you with services. We also will be making victim advocacy services available following this crisis. With that, we'll come back for questions after the police chief and the fire chief speak. With that, I'll turn it over to Police Chief Stacey Graves.
Police Chief Stacey Graves. As you know, yesterday we experienced a tragic event during a time that was meant for celebration. The law enforcement response was exemplary. Those in attendance also responded. They helped one another and even physically stopped a person who was believed to be involved in the incident. I want to thank the people who acted bravely yesterday alongside law enforcement, to include the Kansas City Fire Department. Your selfless act did not go unnoticed. Thank you, Kansas City. I'm angered by what occurred in our city yesterday, but I am also thankful for the response. Members of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, the Kansas City Fire Department, city officials, federal partners, and many others have worked around the clock investigating this incident. All of their hard work and dedication has allowed me the opportunity to provide you this update today. I want to thank the Attorney General, the Governor, the Mayor, and numerous other elected officials, as well as numerous chiefs of police for reaching out to me directly, offering support, assistance, to include federal resources to assist in this investigation. First and foremost, I want to stress that preliminary investigative findings have shown there was no nexus to terrorism or homegrown violent extremism. This appeared to be a dispute between several people that ended in gunfire. During the overnight hours, we learned there are 23 victims of yesterday's shooting. One of our victims, Elizabeth Galvan, 43 years old, died. We are still learning about her, but know that she is beloved by many. To her friends and family, we are with you, and we are working tirelessly to investigate her murder. The 22 victims' age ranged between 8 years old and 47 years old. At least half of our victims are under the age of 16. As mentioned yesterday, we have subjects detained, 2 of which are juveniles. We are working to determine the involvement of others, and it should be noted we have recovered several firearms. This incident is still a very active investigation. We ask anyone in the vicinity of the shooting that directly witnessed the shooting incident, has any video of the shooting incident, or is a victim of the shooting who has not yet reported to police, please call this dedicated line, 816-413-3477. I know there are many more questions that you all want answers to that I may not have answered just yet. It's critical that we protect the integrity of this case so that we can bring justice to the victims, their families, and everyone else involved. It should also be noted we are also working closely with our Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. We're going to pass this on to Chief Grundison from the Fire Department.
Good morning. I'm Fire Chief Ross Grundison. Yesterday, Kansas City units, along with our mutual aid partners, treated a total of 22 victims of the shooting incident. We had 1 fatality that was on scene, 8 critical, 7 serious, and 6 patients with minor injuries. All the critical patients were transported off the scene within 10 minutes of our point of contact with them. We transported to Children's Mercy, University Health, and St. Luke's on the Plaza. KCFD had a plan in place, and we were ready to respond to an incident like this. At the time of the shooting, we had approximately 8 personnel from KCFD and KC Medical who were assisting us in the immediate area. Some of those members were within 40 feet of where the shooting took place. These members did not run for cover, but stayed on scene to treat and triage the injured while additional KCFD units ran to their assistance. I am very grateful and proud of the service of these crews that worked this terrible incident. They gave their all yesterday, like they do every day in this city, and again, put the public's lives above their own, and we are grateful for that. I also want to say thanks to all the mutual aid partners that we worked with on this incident. Very grateful for their assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Chief, I wanted to ask you about a comment you made yesterday, because you said this is not Kansas City. And you just mentioned that this was an argument, apparently, that escalated. We had a similar situation just happened right around the corner at Crown Center less than a month ago. Last year, we set a record for homicides in this community with 182. So isn't gun violence, in fact, very much a part of what we face here in Kansas City routinely?
We do face gun violence here in Kansas City, but my note of this is not Kansas City is in we had likely 1 million people down in and around this celebration. To have the ability to have that many people in our downtown area with I don't want to minimize this event, but that's Kansas City. That is 1 million people that are able to come together for a celebration. Again, you have just a handful, or I don't have a specific number of actors in this that perpetrated the violence that played out.
Do you have arrests? Because my understanding, you can only hold these folks for so long before
Correct.
you charge them. Have you charged them yet?
We have not charged them yet. This is still under investigation. We do have 24 hours until we have to either file charges or release them.
So that'll
and
happen
again,
today.
Again, we are working closely with the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office to present the most successful case for prosecution.
Is there issues with linking them to the actual shooting? Do you have enough evidence at this point to make the arrest?
So some of those questions, I'm not able to give a direct answer just because I want to protect the integrity of this investigation. My focus right now and what is most important to us is to make sure that everything in this case is presented for successful prosecution. So some of those questions, I'm hesitant to.
I think the answer is she's not.
Wait, hold on a second, Mr. Mayor. It seems like we are so many hours from the shooting, and at this point, you're not announcing an arrest. I just don't understand.
We have subjects that are detained, like I said earlier. That is under investigation. We have detectives that have worked overnight and through the night that are still upstairs right now working with our Jackson County Prosecutor's Office for the furtherance of this investigation.
I have enough.
That we have all intentions of presenting charges.
Okay, I understand. The other thing I wanted to ask you about the individuals, were they part of a gang? Was this some kind of gang crew situation?
You know, the relationship between the subjects involved, that's still under investigation.
Can you tell us?
You're good. Go ahead to the lady. Please. You're good. Go.
For the 3 suspects or the 3 people you currently have in custody, were they known to Kansas City Police prior to this or any federal law enforcement or other law enforcement?
That is also under investigation.
Chief, can you tell us the locations where there was more than one location where the shootings took place, correct? Can you tell us that?
Initial reports were that there was more than one location. It really is, that's not the case. It was mostly on the west side of Union Station. I had another question.
You made it sound like you're not sure at this point how many people may have been involved. Does that mean there are potentially more shooters out in the open right now?
What that is, if I could clarify that, is that we are not closing the door and giving direct numbers on this. This is still an active investigation. We are still asking the public that if anyone noticed that, if anyone witnessed the shooting directly, to still contact police. We want to make sure that anyone that was responsible for yesterday is brought to justice.
Chief, can you elaborate? Would you tell us again the name of the victim?
Elizabeth Galvin.
And how old is she?
She's 43.
43 years old. Okay. And what exact time did the shooting was? When was that reported, and where exactly did it happen?
It was approximately, I believe, maybe 1:50 p.m. I'm not completely sure on exactly when the shots were fired, but it was at the conclusion of the celebration rally. Yes, sir.
Chief, can you elaborate at all on the firearms that were recovered on the scene?
Right now, I am not going to elaborate on that just yet. There were several firearms that were recovered.
Mr. Mayor, would minors have been able to legally hold on to
Just a second. What was your question?
Is the ATF helping you?
We have engaged our federal partners. Kansas City, Missouri Police Department has a great relationship with our federal partners. We have historically, and they have offered all of their assistance to whatever we need in this.
Would minors have been able to legally possess these weapons if they were, if they were legally obtained somehow? Would a minor be able to have that weapon in public?
Minors should not be in possession of weapons.
For them to have them in public.
Was one of the weapons, sir, this morning I was watching local news. You were talking about a high-powered weapon, and juveniles. People shouldn't have. Is that something that was a high-powered weapon used in this incident?
I think the chief explained right now there's still an investigation as to the firearms. Firearms have been retrieved, and then we'll learn more about it. To the extent that I was speaking towards it, it was from listening to sounds of gunfire, both in person and certainly in connection with what I have since seen in video as well. But we'll have all that information as soon as possible. That's being investigated.
If there was a long gun, I know you haven't said so, but there have been some pictures shown of like an AR or something to that effect. If there's a long weapon, wouldn't that be something that you have hundreds of police officers there? Wouldn't that be something they would potentially be able to spot before it's even used?
I think our police officers did an outstanding job yesterday. I'm not here to second guess any part of that work. I know that we will review this situation like we do any other incident to make sure that we can keep the people of Kansas City safe in future times. Yes?
A question about the victims that were hospitalized. Do we have an update on how many were discharged, specifically the 9 gunshot wound victims that were children?
Still critical.
We don't have the updates on the conditions of the children that were hospitalized.
Chief, were there additional shootings that happened near or around the rally?
I didn't hear you.
Were there any additional shootings that took place before or around the rally?
Yesterday it was mentioned that there was a shooting in and around 27th and Gillum, that area. And we were also asked if that had anything to do with this shooting. Right now we don't have any information that those are related, but that's under investigation.
Was there a consideration of having metal detectors? Chief, Mayor,
would you do another parade next year if the Chiefs win?
I'll just do the parade point and then
would you do that again if the Chiefs win? Would you hold another parade? Because I've talked to people that said they wouldn't come back.
Here's the thing. We have a plan for a St. Patrick's Day parade in Kansas City. We have parades all the time. I don't think they'll end. Certainly we recognize the public safety challenges at issue that relate to them. This is why we have detectives right now who are doing important work to make sure that people who committed these offenses are brought to justice. We will learn about the types of firearms that are used, and we'll do everything that we can, both as a city and working with our state and federal partners, to see that we can help avoid these types of situations. Unfortunately, this is not the first shooting at a parade in our country or a rally. That is certainly a tragic incident for us, because we don't have experience with them. You asked the chief at the outset, is this Kansas City? Well, we've had parades like this before. We had one last year without this type of incident. We had a Kansas City Royals victory parade where we had almost no arrests in 2015. So I don't think in any way that this is Kansas City. I do think that there's a gun violence challenge in this community and many others, and there certainly is a gun violence challenge as it relates to major events. That, however, does not mean that Kansas City will stop having major events. We will do all we can to make sure people are safe. And that's why I think you're seeing so many people at KCPD and the Kansas City Fire Department doing work to address that. Thank you all so much.
Did you guys learn anything from the previous
there consideration of having metal detectors at the event?
Press conference in Kansas City given by officials including Mayor Quinton Lucas along with Police Chief Stacey Graves. Horrific details coming to light in that press conference around what Police Chief Graves called a tragic event during a time meant for celebration. Police say there is no nexus to terrorism, which is an important detail. It does appear at this point in the investigation to be a dispute that devolved into gunfire. Chief Graves also saying that the ages of the victims range from 8 years old to 47 years old. And here's a startling statistic, startling detail about what the chief had to say. Half of the victims are under the age of 16. We know that there has been one fatality. In fact, Lisa Lopez Galdon is deceased. She was a beloved DJ in the Kansas City area. CBS News correspondent Charlie DeMar is at the scene. He's been there since the incident took place. Charlie, we're just showing a picture there of Lisa Lopez Galvan. I saw a post on the station where she works, a beloved DJ, someone who hosted a show every single day. Folks in Kansas City say she was a light.
So loved, and so many stories coming out about her today. And as you heard the police chief say a few minutes ago, making it very clear that the shooting appears to be a dispute between a few individuals. There's at least 2 juveniles currently in custody. Charges, though, have not been brought yet. Police say they are still working to try and determine and gather more evidence. We're really at ground zero for where the shooting took place, just west of Union Station. And we've seen police out here all morning gathering evidence. They have this street roped off as police made it very clear their investigation is far from over. You pointed out that of the 23 victims, half are under the age of 16. Now, we've been told of the youngest victims, they are being treated at a local children's hospital. They are all expected to survive this shooting. But again, police making it very clear that this does not appear to be homegrown terrorism or extremism in any way, Vlad.
Yeah, and Charlie, the police chief, along with the mayor, saying that several firearms have been recovered, which is also another interesting detail. They do have one suspect, as you indicated, in custody, and they are urging the public to reach out to police officials with any information. Charlie DeMar on the ground for us. Thank you, Charlie. We appreciate it. All right, former FBI Special Agent Catherine Schweit is joining us now. Catherine is also the author of Stop the Killing, How to End the Mass Shooting Crisis. This is a question that people are going to be asking themselves over and over, Catherine, in this country. Earlier this morning on CBS Mornings, we interviewed Mayor Quinton Lucas, and he told us this is not the type of situation and the type of place that he wants to raise his children in with the amount of guns that are on the streets today. What can you tell us about what is next in the investigation?
Well, there's guns on the street in every city in the United States, so that's its own challenge for the investigators right now. They want to tie this up really quickly, and I know as a former prosecutor, you can't charge until you're ready to go, but you want to make sure that you know, are these juveniles, are they going to be adult charges? This is clearly, I think, it appears that it's just a conflict between individuals, and because they had guns in their hands, they were able to fire at each other. And I think it's a caution for everybody who has a concealed carry and carries a weapon around to recognize that when you bring a gun into a situation that's crowded, you could potentially hurt a lot of innocent people, even in your efforts to kind of try to protect yourself or your families.
Catherine, one of the things you've written about in your book is how to make sense of a senseless tragedy like this. Again, I was very moved by the mayor's words to us on CBS Mornings when he told us this is not the way I want to live. A lot of people are going to be feeling like that this morning.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that there's a difference between feeling safe and being safe. And we are very safe. There were 1 million people, as the mayor pointed out there, as the chief pointed out, so many people who were there and they were safe. And we go to every day about our lives in so many safe places. So keep that in mind and don't feel quite as scared.
All right, Catherine, we appreciate your insight as always. Thank you very much. Our coverage will continue on CBS News Streaming, your local news, and tonight on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Vladimir Dutin.
Enjoy magnificent views of the sea at this 5-star tropical getaway offering